the #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to episode 174 of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. Today, coming from you from the nice sunny beaches here. Summer is here in Costa Rica. The wind is blowing and clear blue skies. I do miss the rain, which is very weird, but again, it's the country so lush and green and waterfalls and rivers just flowing. It's absolutely beautiful here. But anyway, exciting stuff here happening. Happy holidays to everyone. We are just about to kick off our first fractional ownership syndication deal here in Costa Rica in Manuel Antonio. Found an amazing couple of pieces of land there. I'm actually meeting with the guy that we're actually buying these from tomorrow. Just really exciting kind of what's going on here. It's one of the top destinations in the country. Its occupancy, average daily rates are pretty incredible. So we're going to be doing a fractional ownership there on 6 luxury treehouse villas here. Great returns. If anyone's interested, you could reach us on info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. Today, we'll be talking with Maria Jimenez. She's a real estate agent in Los Sueños, Jaco, and now also the Mistico project in Playa Hermosa, which is just south of Jaco. So we're talking to her about what's going on in the area and especially about the Mistico project, which appears to be moving along swiftly. I'm very excited by it just because they've got a lot of beachfront development happening there as well. And it's a very large development, and you don't often see these here in Costa Rica. It's by a very well-known, reputable family here in Costa Rica. So we'll be chatting with her kind of about what's going on. So let's get straight into it. Good morning, Maria. How are you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me here.
Not at all, not at all. I think you're in San Jose and I'm actually down in Los Sueños, or are you in Los Sueños?
I'm in Los Sueños.
Oh, girl, so I could literally
San Jose yesterday. Yes, we can do it in person.
I don't think I've ever done a podcast in person yet, but I've been requested.
2 minutes away.
True. I've been requested actually to do a podcast called Costa Rica Dogs. Me and my friend were talking about this, Casey, that it's called Dirty Old Gringos. Not too sure about that, but it's like the gringos that have been in Costa Rica for like 40, 50 years, that, the original guys that came here in like the 70s and 80s, the godfathers of tourism, eco-sustainability, people that came here when it was really virgin. But we'll see if that one happens, but that's going to have to be in person.
I call them the settlers.
I think the Dirty Old Gringos comes from it being more marketable, but I don't think any of those guys would actually like to be called that. So, but anyway, well, my first question for you, Maria, again, thanks very much for taking the time to join us here. With real estate in North America, kind of more, I would say, on a downward trend. In some areas, I think it's flat. I definitely know it's not growing at the volume it did post-COVID, but probably not even here as well. I mean, how has your volume of business impacted? What are you seeing, and what do you think that you expect of 2024?
Well, I'm almost new in this business. I'm an entrepreneur myself, and I started in real estate after 2021. In the year of 2021 was when I first started, and I have seen more and more requests of different markets. And it's not only the vacation, rental, second home, luxury home, but the one where they are planning to move and come to Costa Rica to retire and to live. And they are understanding that within 3 or 4 or 5 years, they want to move to Costa Rica and make their living here. So it's very interesting because in my 2 years, which are post-COVID, I don't know the real estate market before. I know it as an investor, as other parts, but not as that.
Okay. I mean, if you were to compare, though, let's say your volume, I don't know, this quarter, say October, November, and December versus October, November, December last year, 2022. I mean, how do they compare, just to give people an understanding of what's kind of happening in the market?
Well, I've seen growth and more requests for a more variety of properties. And it's very funny because, as you were saying, the U.S. market has a slowdown, which is not the case probably last year. Against this year, that market has a slowdown, but we haven't seen yet such a slowdown in the requests here. my brokers in the company always warn us like, hey, be aware, be aware, be aware.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly learning and understanding what is it that it's out there. The interest rates are very high, and that's a complaint we hear all across, even from the Costa Rican buyers to the foreigners buyers. They are afraid,
Yeah.
they don't want to invest, they don't want to put all the money into a property. But also there's a need to have that other property where they can pretty much like hide and survive, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I was up in Santa Juana Lodge yesterday with the owner of Santa Juana Lodge, who's also the owner of Seacommon, Jim DeMarlis. Him and I have been friends for many years. He was saying, because it's a very rustic lodge he has up there, he was like, it's incredible the amount of like Fortune 500 CEOs and like high-flying people he gets up at this very rustic lodge. And I said, look, Jim, I think the thing you understand is people are looking for raw and authenticity, and the biggest asset that Costa Rica has is its people. So when you go to a lodge like that, where it's run by the community, like you get that rawness and that authenticity. And I think that that's what a lot of people look for in Costa Rica, because I think it's very different to find in some parts of the world as well. Like you have to go to the real countryside sometimes in here, in this country. But like here in Costa Rica, you drive 10 minutes and you have raw and authentic. You know, you've still got the guy riding around, you know, with his machete on top of a horse. And like you even get it in Santa Ana, like down in San Jose. Like it's incredible. So, but yeah. I mean, what is your advice for a lot of people investing in Costa Rica? I mean, you know, it's a lot of people want to do it, but I mean, what are your kind of your sage bits of wisdom for them?
To be to know that they're moving a country. That's something I tell and remind my clients all the time. Because especially for the US market, it's so usual for them to move from one state to another state. And it's so simple and they're used to doing that. But here they won't be moving a state. They're moving a country, and they face the language and all the tramits which come with a property, and which come either if it's only a vacation rental or living here. They will need to open a bank account, and they will need to understand that they're going to be one day sitting a 3 hour time or 4 hour time in a bank branch, understanding that they have to have all the papers ready. They
Yep.
will have to go through the license process, through the immigration process. And those are overwhelming for many clients. They are frustrated easily, which when they don't understand how to pay the HOA, when they don't understand how to pay the municipal taxes, and that they're not getting the billing on their mail, because we don't really have the mail. So I tell them, do it, you will be happy, but remind yourself, it's a country, it's not a state, what you're moving. Also knowing what you can invest and what is the end goal of that investment. If it's going to be a standalone property, yes, you have no HOA fees, but you will have to have a caretaker, a neighbor, an alarm system, and things like that that provide you security. So you need to understand all those things before making the investment. And if it's construction, it's probably going to take you 2 years before
Yep.
you can see your building ready.
Yeah. Which is really is not that bad. I mean, you know, some people are like, you know, I mean, we've been building houses in like 16, 18 months. But I mean, if you don't have like a project management team yet, it probably will take you 2 years. But I mean, a lot of people, even 2 years though, can be quick. I mean, some people have to wait 3, 4, 5 years in the US, you know, so it's not too bad. Maria, you touched on something there, which was security here. I think it's the front of a lot of people's mind here at the moment. I mean, what is your viewpoint on what's happening in Costa Rica and how secure it is?
Well, when you're buying title land and foreigners are allowed to have to own corporations, to own the property under name, we respect that. So there's security for the investment against other countries where people are buying in structures or who knows
Yep.
what complication that puts at risk their investment. That Costa Rica has that security where the government is decentralized, as you know, and it gives frustrating when you're doing the permits because you need to go to the municipality and to Setena and to the Sefia and all these things that are independent branches that will tell you if you can build or not build, but that same authority and maybe called bureaucracy gives you also security that your property is your property. So don't fall into buying it in a different way. Foreigners are welcome to invest in Costa Rica and own the land on their name or their corporation name.
What about when it comes to personal security, though, Maria? Like physical security, if that makes sense. You know, Costa Rica's had a couple of headlines recently about stuff that's going on. I know it's a thing that people are worried about. Like, is it safe, like, for me to visit Costa Rica, like, personally? I mean, what is your viewpoint on that, Maria?
My viewpoint is I feel very secure. If I travel, I never go around with all of my belongings, camera, computer, and things walking in the middle of any city in the world. So be aware you're in cities in Costa Rica are much more smaller than any city that probably is out there in the world. But be aware that yes, people in school, they will talk to you, they will greet you, they will smile at you because that's how ticos are. We are like that. But be aware that you still need to take care of your belongings. If you're going to the beach for the day, someone needs to stay watching the belongings. Not everyone can go to the ocean and leave the belongings because if you're in a park, you run at the risk that the monkeys will take your belongings. And that's a good one and funny, and you'll have a lot of footage, but you don't want to cry about your things. So don't leave the items in your car for stopping for a meal or something. Make sure that you're always seeing the car. And sadly, that's part of what we have, a robbery, and also with the standalone properties, it happens. So you have to have some sort of security. That's why also gated communities are fantastic in those cases. And you have a choice that vary from $100 to $1,000. So also understand what you can afford and pay for every single month.
Yeah. I mean, I've always said that Costa Rica is very much opportunistic crime. You know, I mean, people see an opportunity and that's typically how it happens. You know, I mean, I think there's been a spate recently of, you know, drug crime in certain areas, but I think it's it's isolated more towards the Punta Arenas, to the Limon area, you know, those actual towns where, you know, I mean, basically drugs are being imported. And again, to date, really hasn't affected tourism that much. You know, we're not seeing it in our numbers and demand. You know, it's going very well. You know, and the government is, you know, putting their foot down here. You know, allocating resources here to police departments, you know, all throughout the country, and also, you know, having more police on the roads as well here. So I think it's just that people just need to understand of like, you're not really going to see it here. It's not Mexico here by any means. It's a very peaceful, tranquil country. Yes, things happen, but like, again, from a personal point of view, is the majority of it's just opportunistic crime. Like, just don't create the opportunity.
Yes. If you leave the bicycle outside, it's going to be taken by someone.
Yeah. It'll be recycled.
Someone might think it's garbage.
Exactly. I mean, that's what happens sometimes. I mean, like, look, when I've got like an old washing machine or something, like I leave it outside our condominium and it disappears in like 2 seconds. I mean, that's kind of, it's, you know, it's naturally recycled, say. So, but I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, you're here in Los Baños, you know, which is near Jaco, which is in the Central Pacific for anyone listening. I mean, Jaco is about to have you know, probably double its inventory in that area with all these new towers going on.
We talk about that.
I mean, what impact do you think that's going to have on the market, Maria?
Well, I think a lot more of visitation, which we keep growing. And as you know very well, the growth of tourism is constant in Costa Rica, and we're way behind a country like Mexico, who has 10 times our visitation rate. So I think that will open offer, so there can be more tourism, but also for the investors that are doing Airbnb and relying on making that investment as their income producing, they have to be aware that a lot more rooms will be available. So they need to understand that in their projections.
Yeah, I mean, basically inventory is probably going to double. or at least increase 50%. And I mean, I think Jaco is at about a 54% occupancy. So I think you just need to analyze that numbers, because a lot of the demand is in high season anyway. There are certain periods of the year where that demand is, and probably everything's full. So yes, there could be surplus. I think it's, as you said, you just need to analyze the numbers.
And I have seen clients also that they don't really want to rent.
Yeah.
They're buying their property and they will come 3, 4 times, 6 times a year, and all they want to know is that they have their own place in Costa Rica for them and for their friends to use. So if that's the case, the variety that's coming out there in the market of new properties gives a good opportunity for this option, because also the properties that are coming in and out of the market as vacation rentals have an impact on what we can offer, right?
Definitely. I mean, you live in Los Sueños full time. I mean, how is that different than the Jaco market? I mean, I'm very aware of it, but like for people listening here, I mean, they're literally 10 minutes apart. I mean, what is the difference?
The difference is a big difference. You have to decide if you want to live walking distance to a marina or walking distance to, I don't know, restaurants and a
town.
supermarket.
Yeah.
Exactly, other services. Los Sueños is a very well-gated community. I allow my kid to go in a bicycle to the marina area. She is young and I don't feel unsecure by doing so. Your property is going to be secure. Your belongings are going to be secure the whole time. It's very pretty. But then in Jaco, you have the ocean, the beach. People like to have the sand and that closeness to being able to see the sunset all year round, pretty much. So it's for different markets. Some people want I have brought clients that come to Los Angeles and they say, like, this is like Florida. I don't want to have a property in Costa Rica that looks like Florida.
Yep.
They want to stay then in Jaco. They want to be in first row of, which gives you, Jaco gives you that luxury. You can have title land, beachfront, which is not everywhere in Costa Rica. Most of those opportunities are concession, and we don't recommend them for foreigners.
What product do you think is currently missing in your area? Meaning that, like, what stuff are clients looking for that's not there? What would you love to have more of?
Well, for the amount of people that I see going to PriceMart, which is the Costco of Costa Rica, of Latin America, I think that is missing. But for me as an entrepreneur and business owner, we really don't miss anything. Like, we have government services. We can go to the Caja office. We have pretty much all of the bank branches, the public ones and many private ones. Between Jaco and Los Angeles, you'll find that. The rest of the supermarket chains are also available, from Automercado to Maxi Pali. So you have all of the Walmart branches to Amaica that provides for hotels and restaurants, which comes very useful instead of a PriceMart location. There's also services for kids, like classes, like if they want to be enrolled in ballet or jiu-jitsu. So for people that are not visiting but moving here to live, there's 4+ options of private schools, plus all the public education that's free in Costa Rica. So there's very few things that you lack compared to our previous life in San Jose. Jaco is a very complete community.
Well, we're doing the Pequeño Mundo in Herradura, just so you know. So you'll have that.
I heard you told me last time we met. Yes, I heard. We're looking forward to that Pequeño Mundo.
Exactly. But I mean, what real estate product is missing? What would you like to have more of? Like, we would love to have more single family homes, around the 300,000 to 400,000. I mean, what would you love to see?
You know what's really missing? and people ask a lot, an all-inclusive resort.
Wow. Well,
There's not really an all-inclusive resort in this area. And I
years
think
ago, Amapola was.
eventually, yes, but it's still not out there like, I don't know, like a
Yeah.
Dreams or like a brand
Yeah.
name kind
Yeah.
of all-inclusive resort. There's none. The Hotel Marriott does very well in Los Angeles, but
Yep.
probably the area can afford another hotel. It was recently announced that Villa La Paz by
Yep.
Tarcoles area is transforming into Autograph Collection by Marriott. So
Yeah.
that's bringing, I don't know, more options, more high-end options for
Yeah.
tourism.
Well, when Enjoy Group gets hold of anything, it usually becomes an Autograph Marriott. So yeah, I think that was their uncle's. But it's I mean, it's a beautiful hotel. But I agree. I mean, here it's very small boutique hotels here, all on the central and southern area. I mean, the majority of full inclusives are up there. I mean, there's probably a huge market for it. I mean, if someone bought Teresa's del Pacifico, if they ever sold, you could turn that into an all-inclusive in Playa Hermosa, or yeah.
I think the Best Western in Jaco still is an
True.
all-inclusive, but
Yep.
there's like that feeling of that part missing, and people
Yep.
ask about it
Well,
because
I would never
it,
think that, but that's a great viewpoint. Well, let's
yes,
change gears, Maria, and talk about Mistico. Mistico was the project where we met, where I've been down to, I think, 2 or 3 times now. I mean, beautiful master plan that you guys have got there, homes kind of around lakes, cycling, hiking. I know that you guys are building beachfront stuff now. There's also a beachfront community. I mean, it's an up and coming community in the area. And I mean, I think that there aren't that many up and coming beachfront communities that are just getting started. I mean, a lot of stuff has been around for 30 years and is nearly finishing. I mean, what is it about this development that you believe in, and like, how would you describe it to listeners?
yes. Because of working the whole area and living in Los Angeles, I found Mistico, and originally when I saw it and when I visited, they didn't have the beachfront property. Now they have it. It was something that they secured this year or at the end of last year, and that has been a game changer for them. They have
Yeah.
been in the market. They are already houses built there, apartments built there, but it's going to be over 900 acres of property. It's very environmentally friendly. The element that unites the development is the water. So there's lakes, there's river, the ocean front. They are keeping reserves within the community to make it very, very green. And they are keeping all the vegetation and all the greenery is more endemic. Other developments, they have a switch, like let's move the rainforest into all
Yep.
these beautiful flowers. So that is part of the beauty of Místico. It's a place where it's gated. Desarrolladores 506 have been around in Costa Rica for 50 years. They know how to develop. They've been involved in commercial, in residential development, and they have been very organized and focused on developing the project. I see an opportunity for people to have the combination of owning their property is near an ocean access, which is Playa Hermosa, and having security without having to pay the overprice of a brand or a market that's there. It's also made in the recent years, which has brought into place the possibilities to have solar panels. All the electricity is underground. The water is being used more efficient. So the HOA is being kept low. So all those things are beneficial in the combination. And for me, is one of the best gated communities in the area.
Yeah, I think when visiting it, Maria, my comment was that it's still lacking that community, if that makes sense, meaning that there are homes but from what I understand, it's definitely coming. So, I mean, it could be interesting to see, it reminds me of Las Catalinas when they first got it started, that they had the homes, but didn't really have the community. But then it came very quickly. It's just, I think, just a question of like, how fast can you move with the beach club and those kind of things. So I think as soon as that starts moving, I mean, I think for any investors that, are investing for the long term or looking for something a little bit further out, that's not Los Sueños, that's not in Jaco, but is kind of close enough that if you want to go, you can kind of within 15 minutes, but it's also beachfront. Mistico should definitely be on their radar.
Yes, and the variety, because me as a realtor, I can bring a client there and they
Yep.
can choose from land or a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment starting at $220,000, or they can move further up to land that's title and beachfront
Yep.
into more luxury, right? So there's like a variety of options of properties you can own depending on what you're looking, and that gives flexibility to build a community also in a nice way. They're working on, I call it the beta beachfront a
Yep.
community right now, the beach club, and they will have it for this season, but it's their first version, and it's going to bring more awareness because the project was around for a couple years without any beachfront property, and that is being reminded by consumers. So now
Yeah.
that they will actually are able to drive and see that the beach is there and the ocean is there and that you can go and see the sunset in the afternoon is becoming more relevant of a community. The cycle paths are beautiful. The hiking trails are beautiful. Using the lakes for kayaking or paddleboarding is super nice. You should come one of these days that you're training for your triathlon. If
I
you
probably
want to
should
go
do,
in
yeah.
the lake,
I would love to.
we have kayaks and paddleboards there. If you want to come, you can use it.
Fantastic. No, I'll definitely take you up on that. I mean, again, I'm actually not training for a triathlon for another couple of months yet, but I should probably keep it going to get a good base. But well, Maria, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. My last question for you, which I love to ask everyone, is if you inherited $500,000 and you had to invest it into business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you invest it in and why?
I will probably look for 2 or 3 properties that are probably 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom properties. Well, I will try that all of them are in the same building
Yep.
and put them in vacation rental. And I will probably choose the Central Pacific. I like the Manuel Antonio Quepos area as well, but we have learned a lot with vacation rental. And for the last 8 years, we know that having the same units kind of allows you flexibility on how to
Yep.
move your clients around and maximizes your income. So that will be my choice. I if I have a view, I rather have probably side sunset view, because when you have the sunset setting on the front,
It's
it gets
terrible.
really hot
Oh, it's a lot of air
in the
conditioning.
afternoon. So probably I'll have the option to have it sideways, even though I would love to have the ocean view.
It's amazing how many people don't think about the sun here because it's not normal, in the northern hemisphere. But here, I mean, the sun is so strong. Like the whole idea of somebody the other day was like, "I need my eaves shorter," and I was like, "You don't. You need your eaves longer." Like the sun is strong here. Yeah.
Yes,
So,
very strong.
well, Maria, this has been great. I really appreciate you taking time to come on the podcast. Anyone that wants to contact you, I'll put all of your contact descriptions, your contact details in the description down below. But thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. Thank you again for having me. I had a great time talking to you.
No worries.
And I
Awesome.
will see you soon. Bye.
Sounds good. Bye. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that podcast there with Maria from Two Costa Rica Real Estate. She is, has a lot of knowledge, even though she's been doing this for about 2 years, just a lot of knowledge on Costa Rica and also running businesses here in Costa Rica as well. So she's here in Los Sueños, which is just north of Jaco, but does that whole kind of that area from Rios and is also positioned inside Mistico, this new development as well. I had lunch with the owners the other day, had a tour around it 2 times. I think it has a lot of potential. Still needs a little bit of work to go, especially within kind of the community aspect, but I think that they will get there. So I think for anyone that's looking for kind of something that's up and coming, that's not as established, that could be a good kind of long-term play, I'd say 5 to 10 years, I definitely look at Mistico. I mean, just a beautiful beach surrounded by a natural park there, private reserves as well. It's not for everyone. It's kind of based on lakes. It's kind of flat, but some of the beachfront stuff is very interesting as well. So I'd say anyone that's interested, reach out to them. All of the contact details or the descriptions will be in the description down below. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, guys. If anyone's looking to invest in Costa Rica and wants to chat, feel free to email me, info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please give us 5 stars. I'd love to see the reviews online as well, and just the 5-star qualifications, or the 5-star ratings there. But again, appreciate the support. I'll continue to do these. This is episode 174. There are many, many more to come. And if there are any topics that you'd like me to touch on, just let me know as well. I'm more than happy to find kind of those individuals. I probably have them in my Rolodex anyway, so it's always good to chat with them and just get information out there. So this will there'll probably be one more, I would say, before the holidays here. And I'm going to take a little bit of a break and then come back to you in the new year. But again, if you want to reach out to me, feel free to, info@investingcostarica.com. But really appreciate you listening, guys. Have a great holidays. Bye.
The #1 Costa Rica real estate and investment podcast, bringing you experts from all over Costa Rica.